Oh, and we've done our best of the year conversation, but now it's time to talk about the worst. The worst.
Which is a lot more fun.
It is a lot more fun. We have a shorter list, however, because we want to show what's good rather than what's bad.
Yep.
I have a list and I have a theory. You know, last time you were talking about how your best movies of the year have realism as their basis, and they have a grit to them, and they have an authenticity. What stands out for me in the movies that I don't like is an inauthenticity that kind of leaps off the screen and gets under my skin. Exhibit A. I'm talking about Hitchcock.
That's your worst movie of the year?
Yes, it is. It is Exhibit A, and it is my worst movie of the year. It is a biopic. It is theoretically about the time when Alfred Hitchcock and his wife, Alma Reville, worked together to make the movie Psycho. Boom, like that. Anthony Hopkins and Helen Mirren. There is not one sentence, there is not one scene, there is not one believable psychological motive that I found in any of it. I felt like it was mediocre filmmaking using a great filmmaker as its subject, and it just bugged me.
Well, I liked Hitchcock better than you did, but I do know the feeling of seeing a movie that's so inauthentic that every moment it kind of makes your skin crawl. My worst film of the year has nothing to do with authenticity. It's just about good old boredom, and that's John Carter. The absolutely stultifying sci-fi dud that came out in May or whatever, about the original superhero who turns out to be kind of a blah generic superhero, played by Taylor Kitsch in this long hair that makes him look like the lamest mellow rock star from 1974. This is Hollywood fantasy filmmaking at its worst, and you get the feeling it was made by people who just thought that they could throw in everything. Aliens, the arid desert, a hero who's leaping around, and we would be thrilled.
You're right.
We would just turn out to see this, but no, you can't get away with that, and they didn't.
All right, I want to come back to the inauthentic, because that's mine while you're talking about the dull, the inauthentic. Hyde Park on Hudson, another sort of biodrama. This one, another invented idea. This is Bill Murray playing FDR, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who, history does tell us, had some sort of romantic relationship with a distant cousin of his named Daisy Suckley, played by Laura Linney. Well, this movie imagines the sexual relationship between them, which is really none of our business. It's none of the filmmaker's business. There's nothing to prove this. It throws this together with a time when the King of Queen in England came to visit in 1939. It's made for the Downton Abbey crowd. It's got a little bit of upstairs, downstairs in it. It really pissed me off.
I can tell. Well, once again, veering from the offended and inauthentic to the boring.
Okay.
Another movie on my list is Rust and Bone, which is a French weeper, I guess you'd call it.
Arty and boring.
An arty and boring weeper about a woman played by Marianne Cotillard who works at a SeaWorld. She works with killer whales, and one of them chomps off her legs. And the movie is about her rehabilitation and plugging back into life. If we were watching the Hollywood version of this, it would have been shamelessly sappy, and oh, how I would have preferred that to the punishingly austere and rambling and shapeless French version, which just doesn't really know how to even manipulate you. It's just this character study of an uninteresting character and way too many special effects of seeing her legs after the accident. It's almost like the director found this horrible new toy and kept playing with it.
It was the no-legs toy. It's
Yes.
true. All right, I want to finish up with one thing, just because when you mentioned Marianne Cotillard, it reminds me of Women this year. A tiny little movie, but it is about women coming to a certain point in filmmaking and have to beware. It's a tiny little movie called That's What She Said, a little indie. Probably you haven't seen it. Made by women, for women. It stars Anne Heche. It is lady raunch, and it is tasteless, and it is gross, and it is crude, and everything that I hate about when guys do it doesn't mean that girls can do it either.
I want to add one more movie into the mix, and here I'm going to come over to your theme of inauthenticity.
Ooh, yes.
Because a movie this year that I hated, it's number 2 on my worst list, is 2016 Obama's America, the egregious anti-Obama propaganda piece that came out during the election, made by Dinesh D'Souza, who has since lost his job as president of King's College. And it is this absolute insane screed against Obama that says that he's this secret anti-colonialist. But what's interesting about this movie is that at the time, it was a real success. It looked like it might even possibly portend Obama's defeat. A few months later, Obama's America can stand as a definitive document of the far right going over the cliff.